Bing bong, it's your guy, Pretty Rhett Butler, and this is that Pretty Left Hook. And we outside. Yo, we outside. Shout out to LeVar Arrington, Up On Game Presents Network. We're officially part of the Familia and with iHeart Network and Fox Sports and all that good stuff. Shout out to my man, LeVar Arrington. Y'all already know, Plaxico Burris, everybody on the Up On Game show. But now Pretty Left Hook is part of Up On Game Presents. We've been here for a minute. But big homie VAR came, tapped the kid on the shoulder and said, Pretty, it's time to step over here with the Familia. So we here now, and like I just said, we outside. Yo, the fight business has been outstandingly amazing over these last few weeks, right, and months. We're going to get to what just happened with Jake Paul with the Leave No Doubt fight, him versus Tyron Woodley too. But I just got to give big shout-outs to the fight business, okay? Leonard Ellaby, Floyd Mayweather, of course, the big homie Al Heyman, everybody over at the Zone. I'm not mad at Eddie Hearns and what he got going on. Yes, I said Eddie Hearns with an S. I am ghetto. And guess what? These guys are putting together top-tier fights, and it's been crazy upsets all year long. I mean, this isn't going to be a recap show. I'm going to say that for next week. But I just got to say, Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz at the Staples Center pushed the ball Tank to the fucking level. It was crazy. And what I do know is that that's going to make Tank better. We saw that man go a full 12 rounds. That kid tried to come as a dog and take that belt, and he didn't. But guess what? We seen Tank has durability, and in the words of Pop Smoke, he was sturdy. You know what I'm saying? And we need to see this right now. It can't just be all knockouts. See, I like boxing. I like when they used to do 15-rounders. Listen, we don't want no CTE, so don't get me twisted. 12 rounds, we Gucci with this. But at the same time, what we understand is that a fighter is made in the championship rounds 10 through 12. All right? You done got your ass whooped for 9 rounds. The last 10, 11, 12, 3, I'm a little dyslexic. The last 3, yeah, that's when you're going to show us that you really about this champ life. And Gervonta Tank Davis did that. Shout out to Baltimore. Everybody rocking that purple, you already know. He holding you all down since Lamar Jackson beat down sometimes with the COVIDs and the whatnots and all. You know what I'm saying? But you got Tank Davis. He's holding it down. But I want to talk about what just happened. Leave No Doubt, Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul, 2. Okay, if you don't know, Tyron Woodley's my man. I've never met Jake Paul a day in my life. I did see him at the Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul fight, but I don't know Jake Paul. But I know Tyron. Tyron's a real dude. Been doing this for a long time. Been knocked out before, by the way. This is not nothing new for him, so don't get it twisted. He's not no slouch, no bum. This man comes to fight every time. He did that walk 2 times against the same guy. He was never afraid from the beginning, and he called him out from the beginning. So you got to respect Tyron because he was always ready for any outcome. He just wanted the positive one. But either way, he made a couple mil 2 times off this. Remember, this is a former MMA guy coming to the boxing world straight into Showtime on a high pay-per-view level. That's not a small thing to do. Even though it took Jake Paul 4 or 5 fights to get to that level, for Tyron, he's only 2 boxing matches in. So let's stop. It's all fun to talk about people on the memes and the Twitter fingers and all of that. But we got to understand something. To take that walk, to stand in the ring with a person like Jake Paul, who's getting trained by a bunch of really good guys, and for Tyron to be a fish out of water, so to speak, in a whole nother sport. Remember, he came from wrestling to MMA. And if you know about MMA or don't know about MMA, a wrestling base way more substantial than a striking base or throwing hands in MMA. Boxing is a total different animal. So the transitioning is crazy. Just like shout out to James Toney when he transitioned into MMA that one time against Randy Couture and got manhandled and mollywopped and ultimately submitted, because you know how long it's going to take you to learn some ground game? The same amount of time it's going to take Tyron to have sturdy hands. Shout out again to Pop Smoke. Rest in peace. So at the end of the day, we still love Tyron because he went up in there. But make no mistake, Jake Paul made a huge statement last Saturday night. Why do I say this? Well, let's run it back to facts, right? The biggest concern, comments, the whole 9 about Jake Paul has been what? You don't face nobody real. You haven't faced nobody thorough. You haven't faced nobody with real ring ethic. And it's been, we heard it all, right? Yeah, he dusted off Ben Askren. Yeah, he dusted off Nate Robinson, who this man is not a boxer at all. He could train in boxing to get ready for NBA season, but that's not boxing. Then he stepped to my man, Tyron. Yeah, he fought the other YouTube dude before those other two famous dudes in athletics. But then he fought Tyron, right, for the fourth fight. Yo, at the end of the day, Tyron didn't let his hands go in that first fight. So everybody was like, damn, if Tyron would have let his hands go, it would have been a whole other situation, right? However, in this second fight, Tyron did let his hands go, and he was actually making headway. You know what I mean? Went to the 6th round. Jake Paul hit him with a lucky right hook. I mean, it was what it was. I'm not even going to say lucky. Tyron let his hands down, and Jake Paul connected. So we're not going to take that away from Jake Paul. He timed it right. It hit perfectly on the chin. And, you know, this is the fight game. One punch will change your life. You feel me? Tyron hit the flow. No hands. It went down. But listen, at the end of the day, Jake Paul has arrived. I said the same thing when Tank Davis knocked out Leo Santa Cruz. That was his arrival point. We always knew Tank was that ball. But at the end of the day, when he knocked out Leo Santa Cruz, this guy is like a towering giant in a world of little men. And Tank let it be known what that Baltimore do. At this fight and at this juncture in Jake Paul's career, and even me, okay, if you go read my stuff at theshadowleague.com, shout out to TSL, you would understand I've been a big Jake Paul critic, not because of me thinking that he can't fight or is not going to get the acumen to fight, but I just felt like he was skipping the line in relation to pedigree, right? You got so many people out here. So many people out here. Go to the Golden Gloves, which in America we don't respect like we used to. Go to the Olympics, which in America we don't respect like we used to. And then a guy like Jake Paul jumps from like the Disney Channel to YouTube to the actual ring. It was a little nutty for me. But guess what? I'm old, but I ain't that damn old. I had to adjust my vision. When I started seeing this man really putting it together, seeing this man taking care of his people, like Amanda Serrano, who is the other GOAT, shout out to Clarissa Shields, and she said to me personally in an interview you'll hear later that she shares the title of greatest woman of all time in boxing with Amanda Serrano. He's given Amanda Serrano a chance. Now she's always his co-main event pretty much on his MVB Promotions fights. That's long overdue for this lady. On top of that, you know what I mean? He's holding it down. He's doing entertaining fights. Like, you got to give Jake Paul that. He comes out with a big-ass robot. He talks heck of shit, okay? He made his own belt, so he's like, I'm not thinking about the WBC, the WBA, the IBA. He doesn't care. He made his own belt, designed by Alec Monopoly, a big graph artist, I think, out of Miami. Put a Rollie in the belt, a Cartier watch in the belt, and a Birkin bag in the belt. The belt was $500,000. He crowned himself into the press conference, the fight week in Tampa, before they fought in the Maui Stadium in Tampa, crowned himself the most valuable boxer, the MVP, making up his own titles, y'all, and then knocked the homie, the chosen one, out. He was chosen for that knockout. I ain't gonna lie to you. Jake Paul put hands on the ball, and he did what he had to goddamn do, and crowned himself before he did it. On top of that, leading up to the fight, he gave Tyron a Rolex. He gave Tyron a Rollie. And then on top of that, I'm mad I didn't go to the fight because in the post-fight press conference, he gave a member of the media a Rolex. Whoever that dickhead is, it should have been me. I played myself that day. But it was comfortable watching the fight on the couch. I ain't even gonna lie. But at the same time, I'm saying this to say the following. Jake Paul's giving out gifts to the community. He's taking care of the hood. The media, his opponent gets a Rollie. Amanda Serrano tweeted the other day, oh my God, I woke up a millionaire after she had her fight on that situation. Like, now she's a millionaire. This is a woman that has ridiculous pedigree, ridiculous amounts of belts, became a millionaire in 2 fights with Jake Paul. Look, at the end of the day, we got to talk about giving people their flowers while they're here, right? That's what the terminology is, right? We got to start understanding. The business is called sports entertainment, not just sports. So all of us with our old school mentality, we got to start shifting the narrative. I used to be a hater on these guys that aren't real journalists that are pretending to be journalists, but then I got to remember something. They're entertainers. They have opinions. It's not a problem. It's the same thing with boxing, right? So even me, I'm a member of the Boxing Writers Association. I got a goddamn Hall of Fame vote. And I'm rocking with Jake Paul right now. I'm not going to front. I never thought I'd even live to say this out loud. But he knocked out my homie. And I know what Tyron puts into the game. Tyron's a dog. He's not a boxer, but he's a dog. Jake Paul hit him with the right. It came down from God. Like sun just flatlined on the floors. It went down. It went down. And Tyron, big up to you. He just gave a Bama 5 bands for having the best meme playing him on Instagram. Shout out to the No Shame. We love this. We love this about Tyron. He's realizing where he's at right now. The cameras is on. The lights are brighter. Yeah, he caught the L. But, hey, goddamn it, you made a couple more millions. Give away 5 bands. You know what I mean? Don't forget your boy, by the way. I did say you my man. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul, Most Valuable Promotions, well-named fucking promotional company, homie. And you want to call yourself the most valuable boxer with Floyd retired? Yeah, you're not messing with Canelo's paper right now. Canelo's getting the bag. Tyson Fury's getting the bag. But I will say this. Canelo just became a free agent. Now he's playing well with everybody without Oscar De La Hoya. Tyson Fury is signed to 2 people, Frank Warren out in the UK and Bob Arum here in America. But Jake Paul signed his goddamn self, man. The kid jumped out the porch, 3 fights in, 4th fight with a deal with Showtime. His own company, made his own damn belt. Knocked out every opponent now since he now knocked out Tyron. That's every opponent Jake Paul's had, he's touched their chin and they felt canvas. So you got to understand something. Yeah, he's only 5 joints deep. Yeah, he has no amateur pedigree. But in the business of sports entertainment, this man is the most successful social media influencer to boxing pipeline creator we've ever seen. This is a whole new genre of the game. It's like mumble rap. At first, you was like, what the hell are they doing in my ears? Then you was like, burgers and comments. So relax. Relax. Enter the new world. It comes with a Birkin bag, a Rollie, and a Cartier attached to the band. I can get jiggy with all this. And again, Jake Paul, if you're giving out Rollies and watches, the boy needs another one. So put me together. But we loving Jake Paul. I never thought I'd say this. I never thought I'd live to say this. But seeing Son hold it down against Tyron, packed crowd, everybody was rambunctious in the audience. The Island Boys, they got a beer thrown in their face. Yo, it's all happening right now. Nate Diaz stepped to the other homie that I know. Shout out to all my peoples at Body Shop in Lakewood, California. Nate Diaz trying to shake the homie threw the beer in it. There's a lot going on right now. But all I'm saying is to say is look at what Jake Paul's doing to the world. Cats are catching residual fight opportunities based on the promotions around the fights. You know what I mean? Shout out to my man AJ McKee and his whole squadron. Shout out to Nate Diaz and their whole squadron. They got something going on right now that might get funky. There's a lot going on in the streets. Everybody wants to fight Jake Paul now. As soon as he won, George Masvidal, Street Jesus, as he likes to call himself from the UFC, immediately jumped on the Twitters. His Twitter finger said, come see me in MMA, because Jake Paul said, why not matriculate in the MMA? I mean, there's a lot going on right now. Even Dana White. Okay, Jake Paul been coming for Dana White, calling him out on not paying fighters correctly, fighters making a show-up money and win bonus money instead of getting a flat check like they do in boxing. Okay, Tyron made $2 million the first fight. I think he made the same thing the second fight. Jake Paul offered him $500,000 if he could knock him out as an extra bonus. I mean, this kid is playing with real money right now, man. He's not playing, man. You gotta give Jake Paul respect, man. Put some respect on that man's name, man. And everybody now realizes Jake Paul is the bag. I mean, let's keep it a stack. This man's the bag. You come for Jake Paul. Everybody's watching. Casuals, diehards now. I'm a diehard, and I'm watching Jake Paul. I'm not even mad at Cuz, man. Okay? I had to readjust my thinking to where we at. But I'm going to tell you somebody that came for Jake Paul recently that I think is so timely and so amazing, and definitely an opportunist situation, but it's a smart one. Le'Veon Bell. Yo, Le'Veon Bell. Yes, the running back, Le'Veon Bell. I think he's on the Ravens right now, but we all know him primarily from the Steelers when he was doing his thing over at the Steelers. Le'Veon Bell immediately, I got to read this to y'all, and I wrote about this on theshadowleague.com. Go check that out. I got to read this to y'all because Le'Veon went heavy against Jake Paul, and I don't think, I'm not going to say Jake Paul wasn't ready for it, but it definitely threw Tyron Woodley off guard because he threw a little low-key shade at Tyron while coming for Jake. Le'Veon Bell says to the problem child, Jake Paul, he goes, first thing he said was, Jake Paul, fight me. Stop trying to fight people who can't box. Yo, he said this on Twitter. First of all, we do recognize that he threw hella low-key shade at Tyron Woodley, right? Can't box. That was messed up. I ain't gonna lie. Tyron's my man. That was messed up. But he didn't stop there. The Twitter fingers kept going. Le'Veon Bell, by the way, this is not me, Pretty Red Butler. This is Le'Veon Bell. I'm tired of watching him, meaning Jake Paul, outbox people who don't even want to box. If he won a boxing match, a real one, he'd fight me, Le'Veon Bell. Period. Stop fighting small dudes who can't box. Booyaka, why you keep busting shots at Tyron, though? Le'Veon, I thought you was coming for Jake Paul. Like, you've done so many unofficial subliminals that are not even subliminals. They're actuals that Tyron, he's small. He can't box. You said that twice now. He's not you said a boxer a real one. That means you're saying Tyron's not even a real one. I don't know what happened with you and Tyron. Maybe y'all met on South Beach one day. Maybe it was a bad Wet Willie's interaction or something. I don't know. Pause. But at the same time, you're supposed to be coming for Jake, and you wound up throwing hella shade at Tyron, but I digress. Because there's more. Then DAZN Boxing posted something about Le'Veon saying what he said, and DAZN said on Twitter, Le'Veon Bell wants to trade in the cleats for boxing gloves and give Jake Paul a real fight. Le'Veon picked right up on the situation because he's in full troll mode. Le'Veon, he won't though, because I'm 29. I'm actually his size and athletic background and been boxing just as long as he has. Oh, so now we're getting into funny territory, right? So now we got to talk about this, right? And this is where I said it's ironic. Also on that pay-per-view that just happened, leave no doubt, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2. Frank Gore, if you know NFL, you know Frank Gore is, and Deron Williams, multi-time All-Star, multi-time Olympic champion, basketball player. This man was the man. Okay? He's been boxing and MMA and wrestling and all that for a long time too. But these two fought. And I wrote about this on theshadowleague.com again. Now there's a new pipeline between professional athletes from football and basketball now into boxing. This was the first pro fight I can remember of two guys of two different sports genres actually, that have nothing to do with combat or contact sports, actually now fighting a real boxing match, because that was not an exhibition. That was a real fight. It was a 4-rounder because that was their first professional fight, but that was a real fight. The fight wasn't bad. Keep it a stack. The fight wasn't bad. Was Deron Williams a little over anxious? Absolutely. Did people fall through the ropes? Absolutely. Was it a little slop? It was a little sloppy. But at the same time, you were entertained. It was thorough. And I wouldn't mind seeing them boys fight again or seeing either one of them fight again. I know definitely Deron Williams said that was one and done. But I wasn't mad. They came, they showed up. Just like when Ocho Cinco fought on the Mayweather-Logan Paul card. I wasn't mad at Ocho Cinco. I was more happy because Ocho Cinco talks heck of shit. He went out there. He did his thing. Yeah, he caught he fell down. He caught the L. A little something, but there was no winner in the amateur joint. But I'm saying that to say the following. Le'Veon Bell is now following suit in this new pipeline of athletes, specifically NFL, because, your NFL dudes think y'all can fight anyway. Now coming into boxing. Le'Veon Bell is capitalizing on a still smoldering situation to get in the game. So I think this is very interesting, and I don't think it'll be the last time. But Le'Veon didn't finish. Somebody, a regular fan, wrote to Le'Veon on Twitter after all this interaction, but can you get down to 192 pounds? Le'Veon said, easily. Gave him that Floyd easy work kind of energy, right? So finally, after all this Twitter talking, who caught wind? The problem child himself, Jake Paul. He said, hey, T. Woodley, he added him. This clown saying you can't box. Oh, clown alert. How about you show him as part of the next MVP event? That's Jake Paul's company, Most Valuable Promotions. Tyron would drop you faster than the Ravens. Damn. Okay. Listen, you took a shot at Jake Paul and inadvertently shot at my man Tyron. Jake Paul was within his rights to take a shot back. Plus, we know how fight hype works. Jake Paul's a smart guy. So you see, he's trying to sidestep the scenario and put Tyron onto a third bag. Respect to Jake Paul for this. This is a good guy. He's trying to get people paid. I ain't mad at this energy. But Le'Veon wasn't having it. Le'Veon goes, don't run from the work. Yo, Le'Veon wants all the smoke, man. He even posted a little video of him doing pad work with the guy Bugs out here in D.C. that works with, I forgot my man's name. All them cats over on the south side in D.C. You know what I mean? So we're talking about real things going on. Boxers now thinking they're boxers. NFL players thinking they're boxers. YouTubers proving that they can box and knock out former champions, albeit another sport. It's a lot going on, man. But guess what? We ain't done. So Tyron heard this. Tyron says directly back to Le'Veon Bell, because I made one mistake you think is sweet. Don't get it fucked up, homeboy. Yo, chosen one realized he was chose by Le'Veon and wanted to give him that energy back. So Le'Veon clapped right back. Yo, I'm not going to lie. I don't watch soap operas, but they was giving us a show, bro. You made more than just one mistake, Le'Veon said. He just slept you for that last mistake you made. Yo, Le'Veon is coming pretty viciously at Tyron's neck right now. So it's interesting to me how Le'Veon is literally setting up like two fights, right? He's coming for Jake, but he's definitely giving Tyron the business the entire time. But everybody was here for it. Everybody was here for it. At any rate, Tyron and Le'Veon went back and forth one more time. Here's T. Wood. So you coattailing. I get it. See, a person courageous enough to go into battle and use that to try to throw your name in there for a bag without walking that walk, that's defined as clout chasing. Surprising from you. Not gonna lie, T. Wood you threw the facts in there a little something. I mean, it does kind of feel like a clout chase a little something because of the timing, especially. Le'Veon wanted to balance out the narrative. Any revenue I would make for the fight, I would donate to charity, Le'Veon said. Every single dollar. And he put an exclamation point so that you know he meant it. Since people who can't box like you, and he put like capital Y, capital O, capital W, capital U. I'm a little dyslexic, capital U. You think I'm in it for money? LOL, it's not about money. It's about me doing what you couldn't do. I don't need to pocket a dime. I already got a bag. And he did this. And then he put the wink on it. So I think it's because Tyron has taken the word bag and really like owned it over this whole course of this boxing promotion component. And I know Jake Paul has enjoyed giving him a bag. So, I think Le'Veon's trying to say I'm old money at this point because he's been in the NFL for a little while. So that was yet again another shot. I mean, there's been a lot of shots being bust, but, shout out to Young Dolph. 100 shots! I mean, we know what time it is. There's a lot going on in these Twitter streets. Le'Veon Bell has now entered the fight game. Let's just keep it a buck. We don't know when he's fighting. We don't know who the opponent's going to be. We know Jake Paul is trying to set up Le'Veon versus Tyron now. I think Jake Paul's looking at Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he's wilding for that one. I'm not going to stunt. Like, I'm not so far off the deep end now into the social media influencer, boxer guys that I think he could take on Canelo's. But I do believe that he won't fight Le'Veon Bell. Unless Le'Veon does something crazy. We do know that Jake Paul's a professional troll, and if people are going to buy it, he's going to rock with it. But him immediately deflect to Tyron says that he has another strategy already at play. So we know this about Jake Paul. He's already now proven a lot. Okay, he's 5 fights deep. He's 5 knockouts deep. I'm sorry, 4 knockouts deep in 5 fights because he didn't knock out Tyron the first time. But he knocked out every opponent he's faced thus far. That's big props, man. That's not a small feat in boxing, right? Second, we know Jake Paul's very strategic. He does everything for a reason. He likes to keep you entertained, right? So now, what does that mean? That means that he probably at this point, because remember, his first opponent was going to be Tommy Fury, the brother of Tyson Fury, who was an actual boxer, never dabbled in MMA. He dabbled in reality TV, but he wouldn't be considered a social media influencer as the start. He would be considered a boxer. And his brother's the champ. So we know that he was trying to fight Tommy Fury for what? Validity. He wanted to be validated by a real boxer and tapping his chin. So that means Jake Paul is going to probably try to fight a real boxer after this Tyron fight, right? Now we know he's playing with the cruiserweight division, and that ironically is where Canelo is at right now. Canelo's trying to fight cruiserweight next. So he wants to fight Makabu. So I say all that to say the following. I don't know who Jake Paul's going to line up next. I could sit here and run through the whole cruiserweight division and who's popping and who's not and who got a belt if Jake's trying to go there. But what I am saying is that Jake Paul at this point has to only fight boxers. I'm not saying what he's doing isn't smart as hell because it's super smart fighting these non-boxing or boxing-adjacent personalities. But what I will say is that now that he has everybody's attention as a knockout artist, now we need to see if he can go deeper and if he could really get tested by somebody that all they've ever done is box. All they trained for is boxing. I think at that point, Jake Paul gets a solid boxing fight under his belt, it's going to be ridiculous. But we know Jake Paul, like Floyd, is a businessman. And if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So it's not going to be some no names. The cruiserweight division isn't well known to most casuals in terms of boxing. But we do know that there are real boxers in that division, clearly. And that division can use an infusion of talent and hype. So Canelo entering the division is only going to uplift boxing. And, of course, Jake Paul being in that division is only going to uplift boxing. So let's stop sleeping on the Jake Paul train. You're hearing it from me, a real journalist, but today I'm pretty. We're going to give this man some respect. We're going to put some respect on his goddamn name. All right? You want to know why? Because Jake Paul generates paper, helps MMA fighters get more money, helps athletes of other genres transition into a game where they can get paid a hell of a lot of money in one night, and has helped women boxing and women boxers become millionaires. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're mad at any of those things that he's done, you're just a straight up hater. Because at the end of the day, this is about paper. Before in boxing, it was about promoters making their money off people's bodies and not getting to that point where they might get that money. Now, a Jake Paul comes in, totally throws off the narrative. And you got to even say this is a throwback to how Floyd threw off the game by having certain opponents at certain times, understanding the hype value of each one. People say his last fight shouldn't have been Conor McGregor, should have been somebody like a Errol Spence or somebody. But he wanted to close out his career 50-0, beat Rocky Marciano's record, and make the most money after a Pacquiao fight. He accomplished that. To this day, Floyd Mayweather holds the #1 and #2 pay-per-view record of all time, and those 1 and 2s are Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 1 and Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor 2. Those have sold the most pay-per-views in the history of boxing. This man calls himself the best ever. He crowned himself. He was never undisputed, but he was the best, especially in business. At this point, Jake Paul, salute, baby. You chasing that dollar, and I ain't mad at you because you getting paid and you making other people's lives better. So, salute. Real rap. I want to talk about Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas. That fight has now been announced. The WBA, I believe, has now said that Errol Spence, no, sir, you will not be fighting Terence Crawford next, even though the entire world wants to see you do this, EJ. They're saying fight Yordenis Ugas. But let me say something to the people that are right now like, oh, my God, Errol's ducking Terence. Bud put it down when he beat Sean Porter, and you're scary, and you left the fight early, which is a fact. He did leave the fight as soon as Sean's daddy, Kenny Porter, threw the towel in. Errol left. But here's my thing. First of all, stop sleeping on Yordenis Ugas. This man beat Manny Pacquiao. Yes, it's an older Pacquiao. But he beat him. And we all know Manny was a little half a step off. But Manny's still Manny. Manny beat Adrian Broner. Manny beat Keith Thurman. Like, Manny's no slouch. Manny had a belt. Okay? Manny had a belt when he fought Yordenis Ugas, which was his retirement fight. And now Yordenis Ugas got a belt. So let's keep it a stacked bundle. Where Errol Spence is at in his life, he's fighting only for belts. Okay? Yordenis Ugas got a belt. And let's also understand boxing politics or politricks. To think that they're going to go right from a Terence Crawford, Sean Porter fight right into an Errol Spence, Terence Crawford fight is lunacy, and you don't know business. You don't know business. At the end of the day, you still have to build this up. Let's not forget, EJ is still only a year or two removed from a crazy, damn near fatal car accident in his Ferrari in his hometown of Dallas. Like, that was real things. Yeah, he's been beating people since then, like Danny Garcia and whatnot. But at the same time, you talking about Terence Bud Crawford? You can't just jump off the porch into that. Bud hasn't been hurt. Bud wasn't in no life-threatening injuries. Bud has just been flowing how he flows. And Bud just made a major decision in leaving Top Rank and Bob Arum because that fight against Sean Porter was the last on his contract. So shout out for Bud for stepping up tall with Bob Arum on the stage after he fought Sean Porter and saying, I'm done. If Bob couldn't get the Errol Spence fight done while I was with him, what's going to be the difference now that I'm deciding to leave? And he's absolutely right. And shout out to Floyd Mayweather, who said famously in a press conference during the lead up to the Tank Davis-Isaac Cruz fight that he was one of the first to text Crawford and say, yo, you need to really keep it moving from Bob and do you. Why? Because never forget, Floyd Mayweather went from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money May when he spent $750,000 and bought his own freedom from Bob Arum at Top Rank. Okay? So let's keep it a stack. Terence Crawford is in a position now, especially after beating Sean Porter, where he is the guy. He's the guy in the welterweight division. We know Keith Thurman's coming back, I believe, in February. We know the division leadership is starting to dwindle. We know Danny Garcia might leave the division and go up in weight. You know what I'm saying? Because he's catching L's. He might go to 154 pounds. We know that the young boy, Jerron Boots Ennis from Philly is coming up, and he's killing it right now. So we know that Terence Crawford's not going to dip down and give Jerron Boots Ennis a shot right now because he has to fight more people. We know that veterans like Keith Thurman aren't going to jump out the window and fight Jerron Boots Ennis right now. We know that EJ's not going to jump out the window and fight Jerron Boots Ennis right now. So between Terence with a belt in the welterweight division, Yordenis Ugas, and Errol Spence, EJ and Ugas, I'm not mad at that fight at all because it's actually a good fill-out fight before potential Terence Crawford versus EJ fight. Now, don't get me twisted. Errol Spence beats Yordenis Ugas, his next fight should be Terence Crawford. I don't care who has to do a step aside, whatever, however the chips may fall. And we can only hope that Terence Crawford won't take another fight in between, or that when Ugas and Spence fight, that nobody gets severely injured, or that the commissions don't give him a lengthy stay in between fights. Because clearly that is the fight of the welterweight division. We all know this, we're all aware. But let's not sleep on Yordenis Ugas. This man's official. He's Cuban. You know, anybody who knows about boxing knows. Cuban fighters, they the truth, bro. They not playing. They like fools from Brownsville, man. Never ran, never will. You heard? But at the same time, the fans have to understand what's going on right now. The game is shifting right before your eyes. You got the young guys on the come up. We already know the lightweights, what that's doing. George Kambosos came out of nowhere, took Teofimo out the lightweight scenario for real, for real. Let's keep it a stack. No disrespect to Teofimo Lopez. We know he's still always got that shot. Devin Haney's here, making it happen, looking like young pretty boy Floyd. Shakur Stevenson got a belt, and he's on the rise. He's on the come up, especially after beating Jamal Herring, which is not an easy feat. So the young guys are coming up. Like I just said, Jerron Boots Ennis, becoming the new low-key boogeyman. And you know Philly fighters is about that work. Shout out to B-Hop. As well as Stephen Fulton Jr.'s cool boy Steph out of Philly. These kids are not playing. They coming with beards. They coming heavy, man. And they got waves and all that, man. You know what I mean? Stephen Fulton tried to get at me. I told him I didn't want no hair transplants. I'm Gucci. But check this out. Errol Spence is about the paper now. He's smart. Terence Crawford, I think, is finally starting to realize his worth now. See, before, I think for Terence, because we know he's a hangry fighter. He's angry, he likes to fight, he likes to eat his food. But we know that Terence wasn't really about the BI in that sense, right? He was kind of letting Bob set the course. We all know Bob's a Hall of Fame promoter. But I think Terence now understands that there's more scrutiny now on his movements based on where he's at as an athlete. So, Yordenis Ugas, Errol Spence, this is a good move. We're happy about this. Because guess what? In the welterweight division, with the exception of Boots, who still has to make his bones in the game, pause, we want to see the top three battle it out anyway. So if Spence takes on Ugas first and Spence gets past Ugas, that makes perfect sense for Terence. If for some crazy reason he can't get past Ugas, and I'm not even going to say crazy because Ugas is nice, then we already know what that is, right? And everybody who was acting like EJ was ducking Crawford, all right, maybe you were validated now, right? Either way, there's the all upside for Terence Crawford. It's all upside. It's all upside. You see what I'm saying? And we as the fans, we're only getting blessed more and more. So I say all that to say, boxing, thank you very much. We love you. We appreciate the fact that you've been putting us together. Shout out to all these champions, all these great matchups. And this is the Pretty Left Hook. And this is the Up On Game Network. Shout out to the big homie LeVar Arrington putting me in the pocket as he should. And just understand one thing. We here now, and we giving you fights by the pound. Why? Because we outside. Ha ha! Got him. Peace.
Ooh, I want to love you.